She currently runs 3 businesses: the Creative Collection, a crowdfunding and digital marketing agency; the Training Collective, a digital skills training organisation; and awardshub.com, an online portal which helps people find business awards to enter. So for the industry folk out there, you can definitely have a chat or get in touch with Yvette around that. In 2015, she was recognised for making a significant contribution to science and innovation in Queensland and was included on the department's Queensland Science and Innovation Champions Hall of Fame. And in 2016, she was named as Digital Champion by the Queensland Government. So if that's not an introduction, I don't know what is. So I'm thrilled to welcome and invite Yvette to the stage to speak to you all today about crowdfunding, what you need to know.
Thank you, Ruth. She doesn't strike me as a not morning person, right? She's pretty bubbly. She can crack some jokes and all, first off. Well, this is my second time talking for Griffith. Last time was about July last year at your South Bank campus, which was lots of fun. And so they've asked me back again. I must have done something right. This time is talking crowdfunding. Last time was on, I think, social media. So I can talk on all sorts of things. I haven't talked on crowdfunding for a while, but we're still playing it, and it's lots of fun. Out of interest, who here knows what crowdfunding is? Okay, some of it foggy. All right, well, I might explain what it is. I'll just give you a bit more context. That was a pretty long introduction, I guess, about how I got into what I do. So the accent, if you haven't already picked up, is a Kiwi one. Or is there any Aussie in there? I don't know. I've been here 13 years. I am an Aussie citizen now. I do go for the All Blacks still, though. And I lived in the UK for 7 years, travelled the world. So I actually didn't go to university, but I'm not saying that that's not great that you went. That was just my journey. I left home at 17. I needed to go straight to work because I need to pay for my flat and so on. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how I would support myself if I went. So that's why I never went. And I still haven't got around to it. I might. I was saying to Ruth, I wouldn't mind doing an MBA or something one day when I can find the time. So I was very lucky that the New Zealand government took a chance on me and hired me as a bright-eyed 18-year-old in their communications department. So the Hillary Commission is like the equivalent of your Australian Sports Commission. And I got to work alongside a guy called Sir Edmund Hillary. You might have heard of him. He's kind of famous. He lived in Auckland. I was in Wellington, New Zealand, and he was a gruff old bugger, actually. You'd ring him up and say, "Oh, Sir Edmund, I need you to come to this event, and the media want to do this, and this person wants to know that." He'd say, "Oh, just tell them anything, Yvette, I'm over it." But he was very humble, and it was a honour to work with him. And I used to run the National Sports Journalism Awards and hang out with a lot of sports celebrities of the day. And I was really into my sport, and I still like to keep pretty fit. I've crazily signed up for the World Masters in April, so doing a bit of training for that at the moment, playing water polo. So here I am, 21 years old. My mates are graduating uni. A lot of them have got $20,000 and $30,000 debts, and I've got 10 grand in the bank, and I'm ready to go see the world. So that's what I did. Used London as a base, travelled the world for 7 years, 3 round-the-world trips. One was fully funded. I pitched a company and said, "You should pay me to travel." And they did. It was a travel agency. It went a bit more than that. I was a journalist at the time. I was writing travel. I loved it. And I said, "Your competitor, STA Travel, has someone going around." This is like early 2000s, before travel blogging was a thing. And I said, "I can tell they're a travel agent. Like, it's just really," I went to the Leaning Tower of Pizza and I had a red wine. Whoop-de-doo. Like, how'd you feel? I want to know how it made you feel. So, I said, I'm a journalist and I'm your target market and I can do a better job of that. And then they said, "All right, here's tickets, camera, go for a year." Whew, off I went. That was a good one. So I'm living the life. I'm in London. I'm an editor of a newspaper at 26, and life's good, living on a great street, great flatmates, and then fell pregnant on the pill. So that kind of stopped me in my tracks a bit. Yeah. So I had my son opposite Big Ben, and then came back to live where family were, and that was actually Sunshine Coast. So that's why I wound up there, not New Zealand. So I joked that I had my son near Big Ben, had my daughter near the Big Pineapple, very near in Nambour. And now people say, "Oh, you're going to have another one next to the big what? The prawn, the banana?" And I say, no more, done. So they're now 10 and 13. I have a son at high school. And started a few businesses, sold a couple. So as she said, 17, started a newspaper. sold that to a guy who said I stole his idea and he wanted to buy me out, so I cut my worst business deal ever. Guy in Silicon Valley said years later, businesses are like pancakes, you stuff the first one up. And I said, God, lucky I got started early then, because I really did stuff that one up. Second one was an online t-shirt business. So New Zealand has a really amazing culture and language, and it's very integrated. Don't know if anyone been to New Zealand and noticed that. Anyone from New Zealand? All Blacks. Anyway, so I wanted to represent it visually because, talk to people about this and they didn't really understand it. So I printed a t-shirt range, and it was when there were really daggy t-shirts in tourism shops. So did all that, sold them online. I had PayPal and people were like, what's that thing? You want me to put my credit card online? I'm not comfortable with that. Like, that's how early days it was. And anyway, 4 years later, sold that for 5 figures, not huge money, but did the kitchen up and I was really happy with that. So then Creative Collective, the one I guess I'm representing today, is a digital marketing agency. Started from the study nook of my home. Started it for desire and necessity, really. I had been working for someone I really liked, but I had 2 children. I'm thinking, how am I going to go to work if, and we needed the money. Like, at the time, there wasn't enough money coming in to pay the mortgage. So I just started offering my skills, and 6 months in, I applied for the Young Entrepreneur Award, and I won that in 6 months into business, which was amazing, in Queensland. And then media started coming and the phone started ringing, and business kind of snowballed is how it started. Study nook in my home. Moved into a bigger house when had 5 staff, and there were, people in outdoor settings and all the rest of it. And worked downstairs, and I had people in the garage, and they'd play darts in between and, use the kitchen for cooking food. That's how it all started. And then in 2011 bought commercial premises in Maroochydore there, which is where we're still based today. So today we have 10 staff across offices in Newcastle and Sunshine Coast, which everyone goes, regional areas, interesting, why? I say it's great, we pay less rent and we can go service Brisbane and Gold Coast really easily, and they go to Sydney and we pop down to Melbourne if we need to, and that's kind of the place we play. We have clients from all over doing all sorts of things. We'll help startups, we deal with corporates, we have government clients. We don't kind of say no to anybody if they seem like they'd be good to work with. And then the training one, and then the awards one. And we're actually just doing our first acquisition of another agency at the moment, which is a new thing for me. So I've written a couple of books as well, and I love tech products, which is probably why crowdfunding, because there's a lot of cool stuff, tech stuff. I'm a geek. I'm like, oh, let me touch that, play with it. What does it do? What's new? What a great idea. So I love playing with that kind of thing. And another little tip, it might be useful, I have a show. It's all about young entrepreneurs. So a mate of mine, Dale, down in Sydney, amazing entrepreneur and businessman. He's got big visions. He stands on stage like this and helps a lot of business people. And he's got a goal to help 1 million people in the world with business, to have a better business. And so he's created an app, and my show's called Young Entrepreneurs. I've filmed 12 episodes, and you can go onto the app, download it for free. It's called Bryn, and watch episodes of that, or there's HR ones, there's finance ones, whatever your problem in business is. And you could watch Married at First Sight, as we were just talking about, or you could log on and watch some business stuff lying in bed at night if you wanted to as well. So that's enough about me anyway. So what we're going to run through today is crowdfunding. So for those of you who are a bit foggy on it, I'll teach you quickly what it is. Should you crowdfund is a big one. Like, we spend a lot of time on the phone with people who think crowdfunding is absolutely the answer to all their prayers, and we often talk them out of it. Are you crowdfunding ready? What you need to have in place, perks that will come. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. And if you do want the slides, rather than writing it down or thinking, oh, I need that, because sometimes cameras go up and I think it's of me and it's of the slides. I can give you a free ebook and some other resources, a webinar recording. If you go back to work and go, oh my God, we have to do something with this, I need to share it with other people, I'll arm you. So, an introduction to crowdfunding. My spin on crowdfunding is there are 3 kinds. So there is donation-based crowdfunding, which is usually for a cause. Like, there's an earthquake, people donate. Someone's hurt themselves, people donate. So that's one. 2 is rewards-based crowdfunding, which typically is the space we play in. So that's where you buy something, often something that's never been done before or is being done in a different way, and you get to access it earlier at a cheaper rate because you're kind of semi-investing, but all you're getting is whatever that product is, right? So tech products is a good one, I'll give you some examples as we go. The 3rd one is equity crowdfunding, which isn't really completely rolled out in Australia yet. In the UK and in New Zealand, it's big, and so you could go and invest in a company on a crowdfunding campaign, and you'll have shares in that company, and it's not necessarily via share market and so on. So It's quite a big thing for them to push through, but they are pushing it through in Australia. I must actually check out where that's got up to. I haven't lately. So what sort of things can you raise money for? Well, as I said, there's causes. So this woman's off to do some swimming, pumped for Rio. This is actually my mate Willie that unfortunately passed away of stomach cancer. We all raised him some money to help a family in need to build an app. I don't know where that photo went. But this will get you excited. This will get you really excited. Look at this. These are some $1 million campaigns. So I'll tell you the stories behind them. You could look at this and go, oh my God, I could throw up anything and I could raise 8.7 million. Because you know what that was? It was a card game about exploding kittens. That's it. 8.7 million. How did they do that? Well, this company is called The Oatmeal. Does anyone know The Oatmeal? So funny. Go check it out. It's all cartoons. If you're in the design or media kind of space, it's like there's things like how a website design goes to hell and it describes client interactions and we'll go, yeah, totally, we have that. So they had a massive social following and a lot of web traffic, big database. That's how they did that. So you can't just go, oh, I've got a good idea for a card game. I'll throw it up. I'll get 8.7 million. Have you got the big database? Have you got the social network, etc.? This is a pretty famous one here in Australia, 13.2 million. Do you know they got in touch with us? They'd done that campaign. They got in touch with us last year and they wanted to do some PR and they got in touch on a Saturday morning and we got back to them on a Monday and they said we took too long. We're like, oh, would have liked to have worked with you, but if you're moving that fast, don't know. We don't tend to work weekends. This one, the Scully helmet, did you hear about that one? That's like a helmet, it's got Wi-Fi, it cools you off while you're travelling. So a lot of these things are just solving problems. Like people who ride motorbikes have a hot head and they want Wi-Fi and they, other safety things. I think it had, it was more safe if you fell off. So if it's solving problems, it could possibly be a good product. And this is a cool one. My friend has one of these. Do you hear about this one? It's the coolest cooler in the world. And so it has a blender that you can make margaritas on. I had one down here last night. I do like margaritas. It cools stuff and it has a stereo. And I think it's got disco lights as well. So you would be, the most popular campsite if you had that one. So at the end of 2015, 10 most funded Kickstarter campaigns. If you're serious about crowdfunding, I would say first bit of homework or research you should do is go look up sites like that or actual the networks themselves, which I'll introduce you to, and see what has been done in that space. Because sometimes people say to us, oh, it's never been done, it's a good idea, I'm in, and we say maybe it's not been done for a reason. Or if there's a lot of them, and conversely, a lot that have raised lots of money has had its run, and that's not going to be exciting if you do a similar thing again. So you need to know the space. You need to know which platform they were on, what did they raise, over what period, like really delve into those campaigns. How did they market it? There's a lot of good knowledge to be shared there. So why those campaigns I just told you about were sexy, apart from some of the things I've already told you. They had broad appeal. Who doesn't want a cooler? Like, a lot of people want that, right? That one, not so much. Card games we all like. People like honey. That's pretty broad. Affordable perks. So that's when they usually have a tier system. So you can get something really cheap, like, I don't know, a T-shirt to support the campaign, going right up to VIP experiences. And they had perks at no-brainer prices. People go, oh, I'll chip in that much. If that's all it is, I'll do it. So it's kind of an impulse buy. Really professional digital assets, so website, graphics, cool video, etc. Very important. Can't be dodgy, home botched ones. Strong community, social proof, real product photos. I have done a campaign and it was for like a GoPro, but it had all these extra bells and whistles. And they gave us the rendered graphics and I was like, oh, we really can't you just do a prototype and we'll use that and do a photo shoot? And they were like, no, just use these, they'll be fine. People can't connect with that because they want to see what it really looks like if they're putting their credit card down, which is fair enough. So that was a good learning for me. Leverage. So apart from your networks, if you're sitting here going, yeah, well, I've got a good database, I've got good social media networks, I reckon if I put this campaign up, I could totally flog it. Who else can you flog it through? So you've got to have, partnerships, chambers of commerce's, media, who have you got on your side that you can distribute it? So you've got to do a lot of thinking on that front along the lines of strategic alliances. This animation hasn't quite worked, but sitting behind there, I'll tell you a story, because I think stories kind of explain this stuff a lot better. is a guy called Jonathan. So Jonathan was 21 and he approached us. This is kind of how we got into crowdfunding. He's from Lithgow, New South Wales, and this happened in 2015. And he said, I've got this idea and this is it. And he had that prototype already made, already had the contacts in China, already had manufacturing sorted. And we were like, this guy's impressive. He's 21 years old. And he came to us 9 days before he wanted to launch his campaign. And he said, I've already found someone in America I was going to use to help me promote this, but they're not getting back to me. I'm a bit worried about the time zone. The gut feeling's just not right. So I've gone looking in Australia and I found you guys. And we're like, okay, what's your product? So these are wireless earphones. And the problem he was solving, always bring it back to that, was he was a keen BMX rider and always the earphones would fall out of his ears when he took jumps and stuff. And we've all had that problem, right? On the treadmill, going upstairs at the train, they fall out. You're like, oh, I just want my good sound there all the time. I do. I'm like sound everywhere. So he created this. But it wasn't just that, which is cool. This is a torch. It has a thing that finds them if you lose them. It can be charge your phone. Wi-Fi, it had all this tech inbuilt, so it's just like this one device as big as your phone. That phone, earphones, done. That's all you need for the day. Pretty cool, apart from laptop maybe. So this is the lead up and timelines, and please don't come to me 9 days out and say do the same thing again, because I'm not sure I could. This is a good scenario. It turned out well, but not ideal. So 9 days to launch. He signs off on the Friday. We said, your brand's shit. He had a brand. Yeah, we have to be honest sometimes. We said it needs to be better. You've got to look professional. It's all right, but if we improve it, you'll have more of a shot at this. So good on him. He listened. We love people who listen because we might know something. That's why he've come to us. But lots of people don't. They engage us and then tell us what to do. And we're like, that's interesting. So anyway, we did new brand concepts. He got his video edited, kick-ass video. Spent about $6,000 on it. Really awesome video. Go check it out. So professional. Sold the product. Makes you want it. Sexy people in it. All looking, fit and healthy. Branding, did a website. He had one, made it better. Got the video out and launched. Boom, Sunday, let's go. So what do you reckon? We went from that to that for the brand. Better? Slicker, right? Do you want to buy from that guy or that guy? Because you're playing in the tech space. If you're playing in that space, you've got to look cool and fresh and modern. That's the website we did. That's the video in the background. Big order now, straight there. So you can still go and check that out. Then the campaign. So email marketing was created. The PR part I played a large part on. Several people worked on this campaign. So one of my mates I was out with last night. He lives on the Gold Coast some of the time. He's overseas a lot of the time. He did the Google ads. Put out a press release on the Wednesday. It was viral by the Thursday. We just were lucky, a bit cool product. New videos and so on. So why it worked. He was a young guy, he knew he needed help and he was open to taking advice. That's really key. And throughout the campaign. So we were saying, Jonathan, this is going gangbusters. His target, 20,000 by the way. You need to spend, he'd said he'd spend 10, 15 with us. No, was it less? Anyway, we were like, we need another 5,000. And he found it, good on him. And we could do something with that. He's organised, he was open to receiving help. He's prepared to commit a reasonable amount and he's really responsive at all hours. We were working on this at midnight sometimes and he would respond. And that was helpful because we could just go and push this thing as far as it could go. I didn't tell you the end of the story. 200,000 we got him. It was a good outcome. And he got 110 global media pieces, I think, something like that. Okay, we've done that. So, should you crowdfund? Is anyone here thinking of crowdfunding? Maybe? Yeah. What are you thinking of crowdfunding? An app? Okay, cool. The cold, hard truth, sorry. I'm known for telling it how it is, but people, baby, respect me for that. Less than a third of all crowdfunding campaigns reach their financial goal. Some people have 2 or 3 goes at it, and on the third go, they get it. And we have seen if you don't hit it hard and it doesn't take off in those first 5 days, it's probably not going to take off. It's kind of like a house, when you put it on the market and it stays on the market and everyone goes, what's wrong with the house? It's been on there a while. It's a bit like that. What's wrong with the campaign? No one's investing. But when people are investing and perks are going and people are talking about it, people are jumping on because they get FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Yeah, that's how it works. Should you crowdfund? I'll go back to that a little bit more. In my experience, personally, I really like tangible products. So if I'm going to put money down, I kind of want something back. Is that selfish? Like, I would donate to a cause, absolutely, if that meant something to me. But if it's like, invest in my business, I'm like, go and get a business loan, like all the rest of us. Like, why should I invest in you? I don't get anything out of it. It's just like gambling kind of thing, unless you've got lots and lots of money to do that sort of thing. Facilities I've seen people try and raise money for. There's a guy down in Sydney who wanted to do this kick-ass skate park. Sounded really cool. But I was like, I went and did my research, exactly like I said, and I found one had tried to create a surf park, a surf wave thing, and it hadn't gone well, even though, I mean, we all know there's big communities around surfing and everything. But again, it was too big, it was intangible. You know, even if you invest, even if they get the money, how long do you get to use it? It was too far away. Whereas buy a product, a few months later, get the product, the coolest cooler, look the coolest at the campsite, instant gratification. Not instant, but not far off. So that's some tips around that. What you need to have in place if you want to crowdfund, a large and captive database or access to them. So I get it. A lot of startups see crowdfunding as the way to get money, get started. That's fine. So if you're starting from zero on database, you either need to do an anticipation campaign to build that database in the network, which is almost like setting up a business and you might not even go ahead with it. So you kind of got to do that. Or you've got to surround yourself with people who have those databases and networks that, you know, commit to pushing it out and even commit to early investors again. Because if you can get someone putting down a big lump sum that boosts up your figures, that makes it look attractive, okay, now we're rolling, we're getting this going. Big social network, I mentioned that. A unique, innovative, first-to-market, high-in-demand product. Heaps of conversations we have. People go, oh, but this has never been done before. And we'll just go, yeah, it has 10 times. Like, do your research, then come and talk to us. A great campaign page that is well-written and well-designed. You need to put time into that. It needs to have all the features, all the benefits, very well-written, not just slapdash, here's a video, a couple of points, buy my product, thanks. You know, it needs to be a bit more than that. Great website that will convert. Some clients query us on this. If I've got a crowdfunding campaign, why do I need a website as well? Well, it's credibility, right? I want to go, do they exist? Where are they? Who's behind it? Can I contact them and ask them some stuff? Will they be here after I get my product? If there's a problem, can I go to them? You need all of that social proof. Great images and video, very, very important. This is very, very, very important in marketing full stop, especially with the likes of, you know, Facebook and so on now. So like I said, he spent $6,000 on his video, but I think that was a big part of why he went so far with it. So don't do a home job, like do it proper. A clear idea of your target market and be flexible as well. We helped a guy, he had a tea infusing mug last year and he was too specific. He was like, I only want to target iced tea drinkers in Australia. And we're like, we can do that on Facebook and totally do that. But we've said our approach is usually on Facebook ads to go quite wide, go fishing, cast the net, pull it in, throw back all the little fish and go, the big fish are over there. Now we'll go down and target. So he wanted to start small. He was a client that dictated the strategy. We pushed back. He wouldn't listen. And so we did end up expanding it, but too late. So we should have gone much larger, much quicker. And who knows, someone might want to use it for soup or something you didn't even, you know, think of. Who cares? They bought your product. Like, let them tell you what they want it for. A clear idea of your USP, unique sales proposition. What makes yours better, different, you know, the one. So you go out there with some pretty big headlines. So my mate Al, he came up with the earphones. I think he wanted to do the world's smallest headphones. I think that was the line. So we came up with the world's smartest earphones. So because it was smart, like this device did heaps of stuff. And small as a feature, that's great, but it does all this other stuff. So let's talk about that. And strategic partnerships. So we're learning lots here. Is this interesting? Very good. I've got to watch the time. How long have I got? I'm fine. Okay, choosing a platform. So there's all these platforms. Have any of you been on any of these sites? Yeah, which ones do you know? Which one? GoFundMe? Which one? My Cause, not up there, but yep. So a lot of cause-based stuff. Okay, I'll give you my really quick rundown on some of the bigger players. GoFundMe, very popular for raising money for a cause and easy to execute. I've done a couple, I've got one running, I'll tell you about it in a moment. Indiegogo, we became the first partner of Indiegogo in Australia or New Zealand. We approached them, we do quite a lot with them. We did Indiegogo for the Next Year campaign. They would be second biggest after Kickstarter, but they kind of, I don't know, they kind of bag each other a bit and say that they've got a bigger network and la la la. They are good for tech products. They're quite good for movies and art type projects. Kickstarter, Flowhive was on it, the bee honey one. and lots of other projects. They've had lots and lots of big ones. If you want an Australian one, if you like supporting local, Ready Fund Go out of Sydney, they're doing lots of stuff. So it really depends who your audience is. So that would be one of our early questions too. This product, who's your audience? And if you said Australia, I'd say, well, check out Ready Fund Go. If you said it's a tech product and I want American market, I'd probably go, well, let's go Indiegogo. And the cool thing about that and that partnership is we can actually tee up calls direct with them. They give you feedback on your campaign, like it's a bit of a VIP service. Possible, I have a few mates that have worked at that company and some that still do. They're pretty big in Australia. Their biggest one ever was 800,000, and it was to raise funds for a pub, little country pub. This is an interesting one, so there can be contradictions to what I'm telling you. No large database, not a big audience, just a little country pub. But when people saw that campaign, their hearts went out and went, oh, the pub's going to get pulled down in that little town, not the pub. So everyone's like pulling the wallet out with the pub, and they raised 800 grand and the pub's still there. So how cool is that? Thank goodness we can get a drink. Okay, whose role is it? There's a lot to do in crowdfunding, so that's where we can add some value. Some clients go, oh, cool, well, you just raised me that money now. Thanks very much. I'll just be off having a drink by the pool. No, you've got to work hard in the campaign. Usually your role, you've got to have all the legals done. We usually let you do the video. We don't do video. We can make introductions. Finance, you've got to have the finance sorted and have access to more if needed. You've got to have manufacturing channels, safety certificates, all that stuff done. We've seen products come undone where they've raised all the money and then they actually couldn't get a safety certificate, so they couldn't actually produce the product. Like, do that first, then go to market. We'll do the promotion, we'll do the campaign, and we'll have some strategy. We'll give it our best shot. They're not all winners, so I'm being as straight with you as I can. We effectively bolt on the marketing arm. We will get it out there for you. And then the platform does some work as well, and we can hook you into experts there, and they can also drive strategy. So, the old Venn diagram, there's a few intersects there. Right, how do you come up with rewards, tiers, perks for your campaign? Here's some ideas as well. I call it the backbone of the campaign, which is why those bones are on the screen. So what is it? What is your sell it at a price that almost hurts? People get really like, this is a lottery, or you pull the machine and the money just pours out. It doesn't work that easily. You've got to, and they'll say, I want to sell it for that. And I'll go, do you really think people are going to buy it for that? That's quite expensive. If they've never heard of it, if this is a new concept. So you want to sell it for like not even making much money, because you're just getting your thing off the ground, and they've got to put up with waiting for the product and maybe it being a first version as well. So you got to think of that. Like, you want to make your money back, have enough for marketing, but you're definitely not, doing retail prices by any means. This is way below that. Who can you partner with? We've talked a lot about that. Road test your proposed tiers by a few people. Would they buy it at this point? And by that, I don't mean mum and dad. Of course they'll say they'll buy it. And I don't mean best mate at the pub. I mean like actual target market in other countries who don't know you, saying, like there are sites you can get that research and validation. What is the feel-good tier? Our undying appreciation plus a sticker or T-shirt. You need that starting point, and usually you have a VIP tier as well. So when we did a smart ring for some guys in Adelaide, theirs was, we'll fly you to Adelaide. You'll have a tour of where we produce the stuff, and we'll go to a really nice winery in Adelaide and we'll have lunch together. And they were like, really? People would pay $1,500 for that? And I'm like, yeah, well, they'd get to hang out with you guys. If they're in the space or they really like your product, they won't be more than happy to do that. I mean, a potential investor or a potential distribution partner would pay that that's nothing. They'll come down and do that. So that's a good way to do it. Reverse engineer it as well. So you've got to go, what's my goal? How much do I need to raise? And then work backwards. So if I sell 100 at $100 and 50 at $1,000 and so on, will I get my goal? And you've got to play with those figures quite a lot to go, am I bottom heavy, top heavy? We did packs of $99 for those wireless earphones, and they flew off the shelves. And the learning was we should have done more. We should have had more at that top end, because it slowed down dramatically when we went to second and third tier. But you can't change it. It depends how you set it up. Don't have too many choices. People don't know what to eat as smorgasbord. They just go, oh, nothing. I'm not hungry anymore. So watch that. What to budget, what to target to set. This is tricky, but if you have a good digital assets, you've got the website, you've got a massive community. We're actually talking to quite a few not-for-profits because they've got this whole NDIS change rolling out, and they've got good databases. They've got a good website. They've got a well-known brand. They've got great strategic partnerships and things on the go, some of them. So they're a great candidate, and they really just have to front the cash. But when, spend some to make some. But when it's a startup and they don't have that, that's a different discussion. So if you required some work to existing assets, you might need $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 just to get websites and brand up to scratch. It depends what you've got and what state it's in. These are total ballparks. And then just as a total roughie as well, please don't take this as hard and fast. There's lots of exceptions to the rule. Whatever you want to raise, you probably need 10% of that in marketing for this. So if you want to raise 100,000, you've got to have 10% of that. If you're starting from the ground up, give some thought to what ingredients you'll have before launching. So another thing is we get calls from people mid-campaign. They've launched it and they go, it's going crap. And they ring us, help me, make this campaign go good. And we just say to them, we can take a campaign from a 6 to a 10, which is pretty much what we did with Jonathan. He hadn't launched, but it was going well, he had all the ingredients. Much easier than we can take it from a 1 to a 4. So we can make good great, but it's hard to make crap good. Make sense? Yeah. So this was next year. It's rigorous and relentless, but rewarding. There's a Pinterest board if you want to go see all the media. It was a fascinating campaign to work on because we'd get press and I was monitoring all of it and I'd be like, oh my God, it's hit Brazil. Quick, onto my mate Al and on Skype. We've hit Brazil, go do some Google ads there, video ads, go. Next day, Russia. And I'd literally be going, it's in some language, I don't know what that is, hitting Google Translate. Oh, it's Russian, okay. Russia, we need to get into Russia. So it went mad in China, people bought it. It was very global, very fun. Other benefits. It's not all about, as the song goes, the money. So you can do this. We like people who come to us and say, look, I want to raise money, but really the reason I want to do this is for some of these reasons. So build your database to get started in business or launch a concept, build your social networks dramatically in a short time, quick way to establish your brand or business and then jump off that platform from there. Test your product or business ideas. Do people even want this? You can go to all this trouble, and isn't it better to go to the trouble of investing a bit to go, actually no one wants it and you didn't put your mortgage on it? So much better scenario. A good way to test marketing collateral before your full-blown launch as well, and great opportunity for PR, and you can leverage from there. Sometimes once you've been in the media and you've done a good job, they're prepared to talk to you. So a great example of that is a new bar that wants to launch on the Sunshine Coast. Don't know what happened there. My business partner was dealing with them. But he said, look, I've got the money, I've got investors, we're going to build it anyway, but this concept as a brewery has not been done on the coast before, and we just want to build some exposure towards, people knowing we're here. We want a database so we can hit them with promotions after that. So this was very much why he was doing it. So you can totally crowdfund for that reason as well. A few more case studies and then maybe some questions. So, a bit of a theme, alcohol. This guy approached us, and people like alcohol, so it's easy to promote. Cool idea, Australia's first social enterprise beer. Has anyone heard of it? The Good Beer Company. Last year we did that. Yep, that'd be right. And so 50% of the profits go towards the Australian Marine Society to help save the Great Barrier Reef. Cool, hey? So you drink beer and feel good. Yep, till next day if you've had too many. So he came to us and his website wasn't great. He had someone doing social, but they were unreliable. They weren't getting back to him. You've got to go fast. You've got to be on. You've got to be available. So he wanted 50, but we got him 37. So we got close. But that was a good little bit of money to go launch the business. And he's now in BWS, I understand. There's several bars. He's a Brisbane-based guy. He's had heaps of media. Did really well with that. Another Brisbane one. I mean, how lucky are you? These guys are up the road. These are not somewhere in America these people did this. These are just up the road. 27-year-olds came to us with this case study. We worked with them. Alice in Wonderland, 200 years, 2015, of Lewis Carroll penning that. He got in touch, how he even came up with this, I don't know. Went to the National Library in the UK and said, I would like access to the original manuscript digitally. You don't have to send me it. Understand, can't do that. And then he painstakingly, they agreed. That's amazing as well. UK, they're very set in their ways, and we're talking the National Library here. They don't just do stuff like this. So they really took a risk on him. And he painstakingly etched every single letter, every gold letter, and he touched it up and he got all the dirty marks off it digitally. And then he got it produced in a black leather-bound, gold embossed book, right? Launches it. This was a mid-campaign one. Told you I don't like those. Made an exception for him because I went, that product's cool. I knew there was this huge audience of this niche of people who love literature and the original and the memory and the give it to someone as a special gift and all those sorts of things. So he was at about 40,000, I think, when he reached out, and we got him to 100 in the month through some extra marketing and stuff. 100 grand off Alice in Wonderland book. Amazing, eh? This one didn't go so well. I'm quite prepared to share the war stories as well. I think there's always a lot of learning in that. Failure. Let's talk about it more, I say. They actually have FailCon in America, where people get up and talk about their biggest business failures. I'd love to go. I think it'd be great. Anyway, these guys came to us with this. It's a smart ring. So for someone like me, we've used these sorts of technology for years, since the 1990s. So theirs is a ring that you just wear, like you wear your smartwatch, you wear your ring, and you can swipe on slides. Or if you're running on a treadmill, it all pairs Bluetooth, and you can crank up the music or skip a track. So also very practical, lots of applications. So the target markets were speakers, presenters, fitness buffs. Who else did we think of for that? It's a wee while ago now too. Anyway, come in a few colours, etc. $22 US, no-brainer price. Like, would you buy one? Just see if you liked it, or know someone, a gift. Here, got your ring. So they were out of Adelaide. We developed the brand for them. We came up one smart ring to rule them all. Do you like that? A little bit of Lord of the Rings going on there. And launched it. And there were a number of factors that didn't work there. They didn't get back to us. The website, they weren't making the updates quickly enough. We got PR, it just didn't generate sales. It didn't end up being as widely accepted as we thought. The strategic partners we thought would sign up fell through or didn't perform. So just a bunch of stuff didn't go right, unfortunately, on that one. So they didn't raise it. This is a more personal touch one that I'm quite proud of. This is my brother-in-law, and he, February 27th, a year ago yesterday. That's right, isn't it? 28th today? He lost his leg in a motorbike accident. Terrible. He went over the bars and the other leg still had it. He nearly died. And they had money, and I just thought, they're going to need money sooner than insurance is going to pay them out. And his wife, that's his little boy, my nephew Parker, and they were down at Brisbane Royal Hospital. So I just stuck this up. And God, he had some good friends. And he's a good guy. $13,000, which paid for, accommodation. It got him once he did get out of hospital, he's doing well. He just got a fast new motorised scooter he's quite happy with. And, got him the, things to get up in the house and the bathroom modified and all of that. So you can do it for good stuff as well. And this is one I've got up for my son's water polo team at the moment because he's costing me a fortune. 170 of 10K. Mummy's not really kicking him in the marketing yet. I'm going to have to do a bit of work on that one. Paul keeps getting rendered down the bottom. But yeah, that's one you can all go support if you want to. Key takeaways. Anyway, in summary, main things are make sure your marketing collateral is up to scratch before you press go. Have a community or database that you can initially get to back the campaign. Find a great team to work with. Look, whether you're doing this yourselves, you're going to have a few of you. It can't just be you. Like with Elppy, we had 3 founders. That was helpful because if one wasn't ready, the other one was. Be prepared to roll up your sleeves. Like Jonathan, this is how cool he was. People writing messages on the campaign and saying, do they fall out of your ears? Quite a logical question. And so he would, that night, it's middle of the night, he sticks the prototypes in his ears, he's jumping up and down in his bed and filming a video like this going, so some of you have been asking if they fall out of your ears. As you can see, I'm jumping on my bed and they don't fall out. Look. And he posted that, and everyone went, oh, cool, like, what a cool guy. This is the founder showing his product and answering questions like that. But it takes that kind of crazy sometimes. Monitor and track carefully. So when we do all this, we set up all sorts of conversion tracking, and we monitor everything. We know exactly what's going on, and we know to divert spend and pull that back, and that's working. So it's all masterminded. Keep communicating with the audience throughout the campaign about anything. Hey, great to see we've had a sale from Russia today. Wow, did you see us in the such and such media? Because you're creating this hype and momentum and excitement about the whole campaign. And be prepared to commit some dollars to market. It's not free. Like, it's not pull the thing and get 100,000 or 200,000. Lots of hard work goes into that. So that's a little bit of an intro to crowdfunding. I hope you learnt a few things. And of course, I'm happy to take questions now. Is that when we wanted to do it? Yep. Yeah, so Australians are very guarded about ideas. In America, they're just of the philosophy that there's more ideas and there's always new ideas. And if you really think your idea is great, go for it. And they don't stop. If you pulled out an NDA, they'd do like laugh you out of the room. Honestly, they just don't do it. You are putting it out there. You're not sharing the safety certificate or the manufacturing or whatever. So you'd want to be careful with that stuff. Get legals tied up. That would cost a bit of money. But you're just putting out there the idea. But you need to tell people enough that they can suss out the product and buy it. In terms of an app, we have been asked a lot about apps and raising funds. I think that's tricky, to be honest, because again, intangible. And there's a lot of stats out that suggest people download apps and then never use them as well. So it'd have to be something pretty special, pretty unique, pretty innovative, solving a pretty big problem, broad appeal, all those things I said, to fly. So I'm not saying it can't work, but making sure you've got all those elements lined up would be important if you were to raise funds for an app. Quiet. Scary. Okay, thanks for having me, guys.